Another foray into the most legendary period in American history. These are dime novel legends from Chicken Fried Toys. Welcome back into this, our second adventure into the Old West with Chicken Fried Toys, Dime Novel Legends. Now, before I continue any further, I must point out an error that I made in our first feature of Chicken Fried Toys Dime Novel Legends, in which I referred to the toy line as Legends of the West. Of course, the toy line is Dime Novel Legends, and if I confuse the matter in any way, shape, or form, well, I am heartily sorry for that, especially because Chicken Fried Toys features one of the most fantastic logos, and also, these are such meticulously rendered toys, such care had gone into developing them that to misidentify the toy line itself is, well, it's unforgivable. Dime Novel Legends. Wonderful additions to any collection. We acquired 4 more. Here they are now, as you've been seeing them already. The Marshal. The Gunfighter. The Sharpshooter. And the Sheriff. Beginning with the Gunfighter, not exactly sure who in reference this is to, but I suspect Frank from Once Upon a Time in the West might be the closest I could find. Please, if you think I'm wrong or you know who this is a direct reference to, leave it in the comments for YouTube. I would be very interested to see it. I'll probably watch the movie. I've been loving watching these movies. But Frank from Once Upon a Time in the West is terrifying villain. He is just a presence about him. I wouldn't be too surprised to find that he perhaps is a inspiration for so many villains that followed him. And Once Upon a Time in the West is my favorite Western and one of my favorite movies of all time. So perhaps I'm just looking at that because I want it to be Frank. Moving on, let's take a look at the Sheriff. Now, the Sheriff is a clear reference, I think, to early 90s Tombstone, a fantastic Western. An unbelievably great Western. In a time in which Westerns weren't very popular, this movie stood out and reinvigorated the genre for a time. The Sharpshooter, I think perhaps the Red is, although not a direct translation, an homage to perhaps Powers Boothy's character from Tombstone. The villain, at least for a time in the film, Powers Boothy, such an amazing presence and a large man, a large actor, so that's what I think about the Sharpshooter. And a great character, one of the few, he comes with a knife and a holster. That's great. Just an absolutely wonderful render. On to the Marshal. Now, here I think there's no doubt that the homage is to Kurt Russell's character in Tombstone, Wyatt Earp. Yes, he's fantastic here. I think this is exactly what this is. Kurt Russell is one of the more underrated actors, especially during his heyday in the 80s and 90s. His energy is just off the charts, and his speech to Stillwell and Ike as his family boards the train. Right behind you, Stillwell. You brought the thunder, and now hell's coming with me. As a paraphrase, of course. I don't want to do the man a disservice, but an absolutely excellent version of this character. These are fantastically rendered, lovingly rendered characters, and I do look forward to more. And I will say this. Chicken Fried Toys is producing more. In fact, they had a spaghetti western pre-order pack that I could not resist. I pre-ordered it, so I will be featuring more Chicken Fried Toys on Toys with Algernon in the whenever it arrives. I'm so very excited for this. It makes me want to go back and watch these old westerns. They're such great pieces of history in Hollywood and movies that just aren't made this way any longer. I hate to sound like an old fool who longs for the time of yesteryear, but what this is, they're almost documents of what life was like, even if, documents of what life was like in the West, but also documents of how movies were made and what was important in filmmaking. Just absolutely brings my mind back to those movies I saw when a child. I display these on a shelf near my desk, and a couple of times a week as I get up, I'll stop and just take a look at them. I just love them so much. I can't wait for the next set. Chicken Fried Toys and Dime Novel Legends, they've done such an amazing job. They have continued to render these figures, and as if almost they're leaping off the celluloid and through the screen and into our hands. It reminds me of the great performances that you see in these movies and the great villains, and when perhaps life and filmmaking and everything was just a little more simple. I long for these figures. Well done, Chicken Fried Toys. Once again, the Dime Novel Legends collection. I do wonder what these would look like on a peg in a store. It's almost as if they deserve to be there, just to stand out among all the rest of the toys. I understand this is just not the world we live in any longer, but I think at any point in my life I would have seen these things, and it would have been like a rack focus. I would have noticed these, and I would have desired them immediately. Well done, Chicken Fried Toys and your Dime Novel Legends. I will have more on the way. Looking very much forward to it. But until then, we shall dim the lights. Well done, Jorowick. I do so love to watch your imagination at play. You're playing with the toys, and that's what I love. If you liked this video, perhaps you'll like our first adventure with Chicken Fried Toys Dime Novel Legends, or perhaps you'd like to boldly go into another video. We're sort of on a 60s television series kick here for a moment. I wish it can continue. We did have some plans, but I do think next month we are going to update our progress on our Kenner Star Wars action figure collection and our Kenner Raiders of the Lost Ark collection. Until then, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love hearing from you all. Thank you, and see you soon.